Have you ever stared out at your garden and just thought, man, this needs something bigger, like something seriously bold? Well, what if I told you that you could grow these massive tropical giants right in your own backyard, and you don't even need a green thumb to do it?
I mean, seriously. Ask yourself, do you want to completely transform your standard, everyday garden into a lush, vacation-style retreat? Because it's totally possible. And no, it doesn't require a master's degree in botany.
Enter the Canna Lily. These things are the absolute ultimate, easy-to-grow summer showstoppers. Literally, in just a single season, they push out these massive, paddle-shaped leaves and incredibly vibrant torch-like blooms that just demand attention. They're basically your fast-track ticket to a tropical landscape.
So, in this explainer, here's our roadmap. 1. Meet the Canna Lily. 2. Planting for tropical success. 3. Feeding and watering essentials. 4. Troubleshooting pests and diseases. And finally, 5. Winterizing your canna rhizomes. Let's dive right in.
Section 1. Meet the Canna Lily, your ticket to the tropics.
All right, first things first, we need to lock down a really crucial term, rhizome. Now, you'll hear a lot of people call them bulbs, but cannas actually grow from these thick, fleshy underground stems. During those sunny summer months, the plant's massive leaves act basically like giant solar panels, soaking up sunlight and converting it into energy. And all that energy, it gets stored right down in the rhizome to fuel the plant's survival and growth for the next year. You really got to understand this energy storage system because it's absolutely vital for their winter survival later on.
And here's a wild fact. Despite being called a canna lily, they are completely unrelated to true lilies. No relation at all. They're actually in the exact same plant family as bananas and ginger, which honestly makes total sense when you look at those huge sweeping leaves. They shoot up these tall, vibrant flower spikes in brilliant reds, yellows, and oranges, and hummingbirds go absolutely crazy for them. Plus, since they're native to the tropical and subtropical Americas, they are genetically hardwired to just soak up the heat and humidity.
Section 2. Planting for tropical success, setting the stage.
Okay, so if you want those towering stems and brilliant flowers, you've got to set the stage properly. Full sun is an absolute must. They also crave rich, loamy soil packed with organic matter. But here's the catch. While cannas love a good drink of water, they absolutely despise having wet feet. Your soil has got to be well draining. Otherwise, those precious rhizomes are just going to rot right in the ground. You're aiming for a slightly acidic to neutral pH, right around 6.0 to 6.5. Oh, and patience is key here. Don't even think about planting them outdoors until the soil temperature is warmed up to at least 65 degrees Fahrenheit.
Once that soil is finally warm enough, here's your super simple 3-step planting process. First up, loosen the soil about a foot down. You want to give those roots some room to run, and dig a shallow hole, just 2 to 4 inches deep. Second, and this is a really critical technique, lay the rhizome horizontally in the hole. If you look closely at it, you'll see these small bumps or nodes on the rhizome. We call those the eyes. You want to make sure those eyes are pointing straight up toward the sky. Finally, just cover it all up with soil, tamp it down firmly, and give it a really thorough watering to wake it up from its slumber.
Section 3. Feeding and watering essentials, fueling the giants.
All right, the absolute most crucial thing to remember here is the number 6. Cannas demand an absolute minimum of 6 hours of direct, unfiltered sunlight every single day. Honestly, if you can give them 8 to 10 hours, even better. Like we talked about earlier, these plants are essentially solar-powered. Without that intense, direct light, they just can't metabolize the water and fertilizer you give them. And that means fewer blooms and way smaller leaves, which nobody wants.
Now, as the season rolls on, your needs are going to shift dramatically. At week 0, when you first plant them, hit them with a boost of balanced 5-10-5 or 10-10-10 granular fertilizer. Fast forward to week 10 or 12, and those glorious blooms will start popping up. During this peak summer heat, they're going to be thirsty. You need to water them deeply. We're talking maybe every other day if it's a real scorcher. But, and this is a big but, as we cross the 20-week mark and that autumn frost starts creeping in, you have to cut off the water. The plant is getting ready to go dormant, and wet autumn soil will just turn those rhizomes to mush.
Section 4. Troubleshooting pests and diseases, protecting your oasis.
Okay, so every gardener has to battle a few villains, and with cannas, you're likely facing 2 main culprits. On one side, we have the canna leaf roller. This guy is a sneaky little moth caterpillar that literally spins silk to stitch the new leaves completely shut. It just hides inside its little leaf fortress and shreds the foliage from the inside out. Then on the other side, you've got canna rust. Now this isn't a bug. It's a moisture-loving fungal infection that coats your beautiful leaves in these powdery orange pustules before turning the whole thing black and dry. Yuck.
So, how do we defeat canna rust? It's all about controlling moisture on the leaves. Your best defense is proactive prevention. First off, banish the overhead sprinklers at night. You want to water directly at the roots using a hose or drip irrigation. If you absolutely have to water from above, do it first thing in the morning so the sun can dry off the foliage. Also, make sure to give your plants about 1 to 2 feet of space so the breeze can blow through them. And hey, if you do spot those dreaded orange spots, prune the infected leaves immediately and toss them straight in the trash. Never, ever put them in your compost bin, or those spores will just spread like wildfire.
Which brings us to a somewhat dramatic but entirely accurate piece of advice. The single most important piece of advice I give gardeners struggling with canna pests and diseases is to practice ruthless autumn sanitation. What does ruthless mean here? It means when fall hits, you cut down all that dead, frostbitten foliage and get it completely off your property. See, those leaf roller caterpillars and rust spores love to overwinter in dead garden debris. Trashing that debris is the best way to guarantee they don't survive to launch an attack on your plants next spring.
Section 5. Winterizing your canna rhizomes, the safe journey home.
Here's the deal. Cannas literally do not possess the cellular mechanics to survive frozen ground. This means your winter strategy is 100% dictated by your zip code. If you live in the warmer climates, say USDA zones 8 through 11, you've got it made. You can leave the rhizomes right in the ground all year. Just cut back the dead foliage after a frost and throw down a nice thick blanket of mulch. But if you're in zones 3 through 7, where the ground freezes solid, you've got to use the lift and store method. That means digging them up and bringing them inside before Old Man Winter really sets in.
For my cold weather friends out there, here is your fail-proof 4-step process. First, wait for that first light frost to zap the top foliage, then chop the stems down to just a couple of inches. Second, take a garden fork and gently dig up the entire clump, shaking off the loose dirt. Third, and please do not skip this step, cure them. Let them hang out in a dry, frost-free garage for about 2 to 7 days so the outside skin can toughen up. Finally, pack them away in peat moss inside cardboard boxes or unsealed plastic totes. Stash them in a cool basement right around 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. The whole goal is to keep them from freezing without letting them get warm enough to think it's spring. Before we wrap things up, I do need to toss in a quick disclaimer. Always check your local USDA hardiness zone before locking in your winter plan. Gardening is hyper-local, and your specific geography dictates everything. Heck, even if you live in a balmy Zone 8, if your yard is full of heavy, wet clay soil that refuses to drain, you might still need to dig up your rhizomes just so they don't rot in the cold winter mud. Know your soil and keep a close eye on your local frost dates.
And there you go. You now have the exact step-by-step roadmap to cultivate these stunning, fast-growing giants right in your own backyard. From that very first warm spring planting to the ruthless autumn cleanup, you are totally ready. So I'm going to leave you with this one question to chew on as you start planning your garden. Which tropical colors are you going to plant next spring?